Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Reinventing Mental Health, where we're moving beyond symptom management to look at root causes and practical holistic solutions. Today, we have with us, and I'm going to do my best not to say your name the wrong way. Is it Deepak Chari? Okay.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
Thank you, Mary. It's great to be on your show. Thank you for having me. So my name is Deepak Chari. I'm an engineer and certified biofeedback specialist, and I specialize in a kind of a new area of biofeedback called what I call advanced voice biofeedback, which specializes on the voice. And the reason I specialize on the voice is I have found in all my training and background that your voice is the most accurate reflection of whatever is going on in your subconscious mind, especially your limiting beliefs, negative thoughts, negative emotions, limiting thoughts, whatever it may be, guilt, shame, regret, that there is. It'll tell things that you're aware of, but even things that you're not aware of. And I also have an engineering degree, a bachelor's and master of science degree in engineering as well.
Okay, tell me a little bit more about this biofeedback that you're doing, because I'm a neurofeedback practitioner. So we do
Yes, you are.
neurofeedback inside of my office.
Absolutely.
But I recently went to Upgrade Labs, and their red bed also now has a voice feature. And
Yeah.
you talk to it for a few seconds, and then it pops up with a list of what light frequencies you need. So tell us more about that. That's so intriguing.
Yes. And I know which one you're referring to. And totally different. It's a kind of technology in a different view. And this is done remotely with clients. So basically what I do is it's based on the sound of your voice, not the words you're saying, but the energy, the emotional energy in your voice. So what I do is I listen to a person's voice. Let's say they were angry about a relationship breakup or something, which is very common. A majority of my clients are women. And when they share that, I listen to their voice and I take a sampling of their voice, probably of about 15, 20 seconds at a time. This creates a computerized voice map. You might think of it as an emotional heat map, which shows the emotional intensity, what the emotion is, and even where they're storing it in their body. And then most importantly, from that analysis of this work that I've been doing for 20 years, I analyze their voice and find out the specific frequencies, harmonics, and other advanced technologies I need to send to them to release those limiting emotional patterns that are holding them back. Anger, sadness, fear, guilt, shame, regret, whatever it is, there are specific frequencies for different emotions that I send to them. And the way I send it to them is done by frequency, not by vibration. So they will listen to certain music I play, which is the carrier, and those frequencies will be sent to them. They actually won't hear the frequencies, but their subconscious will, and it'll actually unwind and release those limiting emotional thought patterns. And then I will have them talk about that challenging situation again, and the emotional charge will decrease and keep decreasing in every round. And every round's about a couple minutes at a time, till finally it dissipates to a very small charge. This might have been something they may have had for 20, 30 years, this emotion. Even if it doesn't happen in one session, it can happen in one or two or a couple, but a fraction of the time it took them to get it in the first place.
Oh, wow. So how did you come across this? Like, how did you discover this? Because this is so
Oh,
interesting.
yeah. It started with my really challenging emotional journey on my own as a childhood. Is it okay if I briefly share that?
Of course. Yeah, share the whole thing.
Because this is how I was led into this. When I was growing up as a kid, I was bullied. And I was also kind of a loner bookworm of a person. So I was pretty much not included in any group because I didn't fit in, so to speak, as I was told. So my safe haven was the library. So I would hide in the library in different aisles at different times. But when I would find a safe aisle to hide in, I would camp out there for a little bit. And since I was there for a while, I said, okay, I better occupy my time somehow. So I'd grab random books from the shelf, which weren't so random. I found out later they were on the law of attraction. And they were on books like Think and Grow Rich, How to Win Friends, Influence People, As a Man Thinketh, books by Dr. Joseph Murphy on manifesting the law of attraction, and other books like that. So that was, I didn't realize at the time, imprinting me with positive thinking and positive thoughts to face my challenging world. And that challenging world was from the age of 9 or so all the way through junior high and even high school. Though the bullying changed in different forms, from being kind of pushed around to basically you don't fit in our group. In fact, you don't fit in any group, Deepak. Yeah. So I was a loner. Once I graduated from high school, I thought, okay, this is the end of this bullying pattern, which immature child pattern. But then this is what happened. I started drawing these other people in my life that were my friends. These were narcissistic, mean, manipulative, controlling, gaslighting, negative. I mean, every name in the book. These were my classmates, friends, professors, bosses, supervisors, and even relationships. So then I thought, okay, wait a minute. Okay, went from bullying to this drawing of bullying kind of people and negative people in my life. Then I thought, well, I guess I better be happy. Better to have some horrible friends and colleagues than no one at all. But then I kind of thought, I wonder if there's a better life out there. Because I'd seen the movie The Matrix, you know, the one with Neo and Morpheus, where it was a program that they could change the program of someone's life the way it was. And I thought, oh, that would be nice. So let me rewind it back again, because this all connects to the story here. So when I was a teenager, I used to give my dad these pharmaceutical drugs for high blood pressure and other medical issues he had. And the doctor said this will help him. So I kept giving to every day. But then suddenly, at the age of 51, he died of a massive heart attack, just like that. And it was just my sister and I. So my sister and I looked at each other and said, how did this happen? Why did this happen? But then we looked at each other again and said, can we in the future somehow prevent this horrible thing from happening to anyone else? We just put that out there. I found out later on that my father was also bullied from his bosses. They were also tyrannical, negative, narcissistic, controlling, just like the people I was drawing in my life. I didn't realize it at the time, but he kept it inside. He didn't say anything. He didn't want to burden his family. He wanted to be the stronghold of the family, but it took him out. So it didn't really help. So fast forward, I became an engineer because my father was an engineer. And then my sister had a passion. I'm going to study medicine, but I'm going to study conventional medicine so people will listen to me, but I'm going to practice natural functional medicine, the alternative approach to conventional medicine. Yeah. Okay. So that's what she did because of what happened to her dad. So my sister and I formed a partnership to form an integrative functional medical center called the Chari Center of Health. Chari's her last name, in tribute to him who transitioned at a young age. So I saw, as I was working as an engineer, hundreds of people she helped with natural solutions. And I was inspired by her because I was improving productivity and efficiency in all these companies, right? As a quality control, which is okay. But when I saw her change one person's life, Mary, I saw how that person's life changed the other people's life in a positive way. And that somehow meant more to me. So I told my sister, I'm managing the business that we formed a partnership in. I would like to also heal people. And she said, Deepak, that's great, but you don't have any kind of medical background. I said, you're right. But then I thought back to the movie The Matrix, and I thought, is this a program? And I studied stuff about law of attraction when I was hiding from the bullies. So I said, universe, can you somehow help me to heal people in the center that we have? So I can also heal people too, because I have a passion to do that as well. 2 weeks later, some friends came up to me and said, Deepak, there's this guy that's going to be speaking in Santa Monica, California, about how your voice reveals all your limiting thoughts, beliefs, negative emotions, negative thinking, but most importantly, how certain frequencies that you can determine from their own voice and analysis can be sent back to them to release these limiting patterns quickly and easily. So I got so excited. I said, wait a minute, light bulb went off. This is technical. I have a technical background. This is something I could do at our center maybe. So I went up to him and I said, I would like to apprentice with you. He said, well, you know what? I'll just take one more person. And I happened to be the last one he did because he had some health conditions he didn't tell about right away. So I got trained by him, fortunately, right place, right time. And when I got it down, Mary, then I said, what can I do with this engineering background? I'm always improving productivity and efficiency in all these companies. Can I do something with this? So I said, maybe I could streamline the steps he did. Maybe I can cut out some steps. And I was able to and get the same result and even better sometimes. So then I said, now that I got this, I'm going to call it my Life Transformation Technology Program. And then I said, now like the movie The Matrix, let me apply it to myself. Is this a program? Can I create this? So I worked on myself. I created my own voice maps. There's a feeling of a release you have, Mary, when that pattern's released. You feel like, kind of feeling. And then there's a voice map that shows that the pattern was released as well. So I saw that. So I said, okay, it looks like it was released. Let's see what happens. A couple of weeks later, those people, remember those negative, narcissistic, controlling, mean, manipulative people around me, cruel? They said, Deepak, I don't want to be around you anymore. You're just not part of my circle anymore. all of them started saying that. They all left it at almost the same time. I go, what? I'm losing these horrible, terrible people in my life who are my friends. Then a couple of weeks later, suddenly these other wonderful, nurturing, compassionate, caring, very positive, supportive people and loving came into my life. Now, remember, I had no concept of what a loving, caring person is. I thought that's how people are. They're like those other people. And the reason I share this with your listeners and viewers is, even if you had a life where you drew these negative situations, people, and events in your life over and over again, you get, oh, I guess this is how my life is. These are the kind of people I have to deal with and accept. You don't have to accept it. You can have a better life. I did it for myself. I didn't even know what that is like, what it's like to have people like that, and anyone can have that too. So then I started working on one person after another, hundreds of people later over the US and all over the world too, starting with my own challenging emotional journey.
Wow, that's so powerful. And, some of the most amazing people that I meet inside of the functional health space had their own journey that brought them here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They
I
were
had no idea.
empowered on their own healing journey, and now they use that to heal other people.
Absolutely.
Okay. So what are some of it's a voice map. So I'm assuming you can determine all kinds of different things that are going on with people.
Absolutely. And like I said, I can tell things that are definitely things that they were emotions that they suppressed, that they didn't want to face. Even the denial itself, anger, sadness. No, I'm not really sad. I'm okay. I'm okay. I read all the positive thinking books and I'm positive. But I'll hear deep sadness in their voice. I said, you may be saying that, but I hear something differently because you're suppressing the emotions. And then the emotions are released, I found, also in layers. So if somebody's really angry about something, a bitter divorce or breakup, that anger will definitely show for sure. And once I clear that and release that pattern, then oftentimes sadness might be underneath that. It could be other emotions too, different depending on the personality of the person, but then sadness will suddenly come. And they might say, Deepak, how did all this sadness suddenly come? I didn't have it before. I said, well, it was always there. It was underneath the layer of anger before, but we'll go through and clear it. And then underneath that may have been fear and worry, different emotions. But that's how we process things in layers, because the subconscious mind, as you already know, stores every thought, feeling, and emotion in every fraction of a second since the day we were born. And that's how these patterns happen for all of us. I also found, Mary, that there's 4 phases that we all go through. Would you be interested for me to share those?
Let's hear that.
Okay. I have found in researching all this thoroughly that there's 4 phases that we go through. And it explained to me why I got this bullying pattern and why so many people get these challenging patterns in their life. For example, the women who are come to see me, which are a majority of my clients, say, Deepak, I'm a very compassionate, caring, honest woman. Why am I drawing these narcissistic, mean, manipulative, gaslighting, cruel people in my life? Relationship after relationship. Like, why is that? I'll say, well, now I can tell why. There's 4 phases we all go through. The first phase is when our parents decide to procreate us. And I know I'm being very direct here. But in that moment, this is quantum science, when they are creating this new being, which is going to be us eventually, whatever emotions, thoughts, or feelings they have in that moment of that creation, a certain percentage of that emotion that they have at that time gets downloaded into your energy field, which is otherwise clear. There's nothing there. It's a clean slate. So what if they were not happy in their life the way they were? What if they weren't so happy in the relationship, which would have been with your mom at that time? Or maybe they felt taken advantage of, or maybe they had a traumatic childhood that they never cleared in their life, those emotional patterns. A certain percentage of all of that gets downloaded into the mix. That's phase 1. And the same for your mom. Maybe she wasn't ready to have a child. Maybe she's not so happy in the relationship with your dad at that moment or in her life. That all gets downloaded in phase 1. But guess what? I also found, and I can quantify this with this work I do in this work, the unresolved issues of the grandparents on the mother's and father's side from also get downloaded a certain percentage as well. Now, it doesn't matter if you knew the grandparents or not, by the way. And sometimes, even if you didn't know them, and I had many cases like that, you get a bigger download from them than even your own parents. So
I actually read a really interesting study that was saying that you may actually be pulling information from as many as 14 generations back, all of their genetic downloads and all of the trauma that they carried, but also the toxins that their bodies carried.
Yeah, exactly. So now the way I do it and the way I was trained to do it, and it works very effectively, is I go up to the grandparents, Because even though they may have had stuff before that, emotional patterns, I mean, before that,
Right.
the majority, the mass of it, of whatever was affecting you the most is from that generation up. Because I found once I cleared it to that level, the person can function very well and attract all the wonderful things in their life the way they wanted. So that's how I was trained. So that's the good news, because otherwise, sometimes people say, well, Deepak, I think 1,500 years ago I was beheaded, so I think I must have some trauma from that, because you'll be working on it forever and ever. So that's the cool thing, at least with this work I'm doing. So that's phase one I talked about, right? The unresolved issues of the grandparents. And just a quick side note, how many times, Mary, and I have seen this, have you seen a grandkid whose grandparents died before he was born? But when you see him, he kind of talks like Grandpa Joe. He tilts his head kind of sideways. He has the swagger of him. He has the personality of him, and even thinking like him. And the parents say, how did this kid know Grandpa Joe? He died before he was born. And the kid is acting like him.
My oldest, he has cracked us up because he never met my grandfather, but at a very young age, he had the same mannerisms. My grandfather used to sit on the porch and read the paper while he drank coffee. And when he walked outside, he would always say, have you seen this stuff about something that was going on in the news? My son was doing this at 3 years old.
Wow. Case study right here in front of us. Okay. Love it. Love it. Yes. That's it. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yes. So there you go. There you go. So that's part of the blueprint. You're right. So phase one, perfect example. So then there's phase two. What's phase two? Phase two is you're in your mom's womb for 9 months, incubating, but also incubating every thought, feeling, and emotion in every fraction of a second that your mom is feeling. If your mom is kind of feeling nervous about having the child, maybe she wasn't ready to have the child, maybe she wanted to jet set around the world and maybe later have a kid, maybe she wasn't so happy in the relationship with your dad at the time, maybe they were fighting and wanted a divorce, and you're in the middle going, hey, I can hear you guys fighting, I think you forgot I'm here. And if they didn't want to have the child, by the way, even if they don't ever say anything to the child, what is the message the child is getting? I wasn't wanted. I should have never been born. Yeah. So that's phase two, okay? Now comes phase three. What's phase three? Phase three is you're born into the world. You already had two phases. Now you have the direct interface of the parents and or grandparents and other people older than us, like teachers, mentors, uncles, aunts, anybody older than us, influencing us in a big way. I also found, based on a lot of research, that from age 0 to 7, whatever is said or even whatever is done is accepted without question, because the kid is in a very alpha theta state, like a deep state of Zen meditation, basically. So they're a sponge, absorbing, not giving yet, absorbing whatever is said or done. You can create a Mozart, a genius, but you can also create a traumatized child if you say negative things to the child, like, oh, you're not worthy of being loved. You're not good enough. I've had cases like this in my office too. Oh gosh, why couldn't you have been more talented? I guess you didn't get the talent side of the family, huh? Look how talented that girl is. Look how good she does in school, how good she sings, how good she walks. Look how straight she stands. You always slouch your back. Can't you be like her? What's the message? I can't be like myself. I got to be like somebody else, right? Somebody else is better than me. Somebody's always better than me. So these imprint a kid big time, 0 to 7. But also I found, Mary, in addition, 8 to 12, but on a lighter level. But now from 0 to 12, you've got this clay mold of how you see the world, blueprint. And then you go to phase 4. Now you have the blueprint from phase 1, 2, and 3, and you duplicate that in your own life, create the own same situations, patterns, attract the same situations as your parents and grandparents did into your own life, and then into your kid's life. And this keeps repeating and repeating. And that's the reason I created the system to, like a rocket ship, break you out of those 4 phases. So you create a new reality with the wisdom of the past, but without the repeating negative patterns of the past.
Now, you're saying that after you do the voice analysis, you're sending music, but it has a frequency that the person can't necessarily hear. So what type of music are you using when you send stuff to people?
Okay. So the music actually doesn't even matter, because the music is just something to occupy them. And the music is not the technology at all. It's just something for them to listen to, because the frequencies are silent, not audible to the human ear, totally perceptible to the subconscious mind.
Okay.
But if there's no music or sound, people will be like, "Da-da," So basically, and they won't focus, because in each round, a round is a couple minutes at a time in each hour session. Let's say they had a breakup, I gave the example, or they're angry about something, that somebody betrayed them or something happened. I want you to think about that challenging situation, really feel it. Now close your eyes, place your hand on this technology that plugs into your computer. That's what sends the frequencies into their hand energy center, hand chakra, which is reflective of the whole energy field of the whole body. And that sends the frequencies silently that they don't hear, but some go into the earphone as well, while they think of the challenging situation in 2 to 3 minutes at a time. So they close their eyes, no words are said, they think of the challenging situation, really feel the emotion, and then after a couple of minutes, I'll say, okay, tell me about that that betrayal of the person leaving you abruptly or firing you from your job or whatever it is. Tell me about that again. I'll measure their voice map, emotional imprint energy. And maybe it was an extreme level energy. Maybe it'll drop down to a high. And then we keep doing it, like from a level 10 for your viewers and listeners. Let's say it was 0 to 10, it was a 10. It might drop to a 7, and maybe drop to a 5 next round, and so on and so forth. Now, they may have had this for a long time, years and years, but we can drop it down in a short period of time. And the key is that they focus on the emotional issue, the synaptic connection where the emotional charge happened, and then you can get these results.
That's amazing. Okay, so the frequency, you're saying there's some type of device that they plug into the computer and then they put their hands on.
Yeah, they put their hand on it.
Okay.
The hand is just the energy center of the body. Of all, let's say we have 60 trillion cells in our body. It will send the frequencies into all those cells of the body. But I'll go a little deeper into that if you're interested, if your viewers are interested. Imagine each of our 60 trillion cells, and I know there could be more or less, or there's different numbers, but there's a lot of them. Each of those cells has a keyboard of 12 notes. I listen for those notes because this is the science of this work. If someone has guilt, is an emotion that squashes certain keys of that internal piano in each of our cells. Anger squashes totally different keys of our internal piano. Sadness, different keys, fear, different keys, so on and so forth. So I'm listening for the keys I don't hear and versus the ones I do hear, because that will tell me the emotional pattern that they are actually having, even if they don't know what it is. And so I'll know what specific frequencies to send them. So for example, let's say those emotions, let's say fear is sitting on some of those piano keys for 20 years or whatever. So rather than I know what the emotion is, I will reverse engineer it, meaning I will sympathetically resonate, meaning I will resonate that stuck key to play, even though it didn't play for 20 years. And when I get that piano key to play, that same note, whatever's sitting on that cannot coexist in an otherwise harmonized environment. So when the key starts playing, that guilt, shame, regret, whatever it is, will start leaving out of their body. It's like being vacated out of a hotel that they weren't supposed to be in the first place. And they'll feel that emotion lighten up. And this is the process. And how I confirm that, Mary, is because I'll say, tell me about that challenging situation again. But this time I'll start hearing that note in their voice that maybe we didn't hear for those 20 years. I'll start hearing more and more and more of the note till I fully hear that full note. And that's a confirmation to me that they fully released that limiting emotional pattern.
So what does the device look like? How much does it cost for somebody to purchase?
Well, it's kind of a part of the whole program, which I can go into when I do a complimentary 50-minute consult with every client. And for every person, I'll customize the program uniquely for them. But it's part of the whole package. They take that device, plug it into their computer, and they need a headset with a swing down mic that they can get on Amazon. And then we have the whole workstation and then the program that follows. So yeah, once I work with the client, there's a complimentary, no obligations 50-minute consult I do with them. I can go over all of that with them.
Okay. So on average, like if an adult contacts you, how many appointments do you end up typically doing with someone?
Yeah. So great question. So everyone is different. And of course, everyone goes through those 4 phases I discussed earlier, right? So when I work on a client, the first step is to clear the imprints we picked up from our parents. That is our mom and our dad. So in the first half hour, the first hour and a half session, and every session after the first session is 1 hour, I map out their whole ancestral patterns. What patterns did they get from their mom? What patterns did they get from their dad? From their own voice. I take them to an altered state of consciousness. I create a conscious mind voice map. Then once they're in the altered state of consciousness, I create a subconscious mind voice map. Then I'll say, tell me about your dad briefly for like 20 seconds. My dad was like this. He was a tyrant. He was this, whatever. Create a voice map of the dad, of the mom, and then of the relationships they had, both current and past. I'll map those out as well, voice map them. And then of all their grandparents. And even if they didn't know their grandparents, this is the interesting thing about this, Mary. I can get very distinct patterns of each grandparent, even though they didn't know them at all. And what it's telling me is their emotional imprint pattern. And so we think that this is our own thoughts. This is my feeling, Deepak. And I'll say, well, it's actually 70% influenced by your father's father, 80% influenced by your mother's. I'll show them all that. I'll even tell them why they drew the relationships into their life the way they did. So I map this all out, right? The voice maps. And then it may take a couple sessions, in answer to your question, to clear each parent, because they formed your whole belief system for your whole life. Now, if someone had, and unfortunately many have, as you know, unfortunately emotional abuse and of course physical abuse and other things like that could have happened as well. It may take a few more than the standard sessions to clear each parent. But let's assume 2 or 3 sessions for each parent, like that. Maybe that's 4 to 6 sessions. Then we clear the key childhood events in everyone's life. Like I was bullied, maybe someone had physical, mental, emotional abuse, or mean girls or mean boys or whatever. We clear all those challenging events in their childhood. By then, so I started with the base of 9 foundational sessions, in other words, to cover that. Because once we do the baseline, that wouldn't be the whole thing, because then we can go to what's going on in your life now that's stressing you out or emotionally upsetting you, current and past relationships, and then lastly, grandparents. And that would complete the main parts of what's holding you back in your life. Then, of course, we can go to other levels of new growth after that. But the key thing is that I start out with the set of 9 in answer to your question. But I wanted to explain where that 9 comes from.
So if people want to reach out to you and they want to work with you, I know you sent me all of their social media links, but if somebody maybe can't look at any of the links because some of the places that we post at won't have them, how do they?
Okay, the easiest way to reach me is to go to my website, which is www.fastanxietyhelp.com. So FASTANXITY help, HELP.com. If you go to that website, you can sign up for a complimentary, no obligations 15-minute consult with me. So in that Zoom consult with me, I will go ahead and pour out your story of whatever's challenges going on in your life, what you're going through, and what you'd like to have in your life, what you'd like to achieve, like freedom from this, freedom from whatever emotional issues. And I will map out a plan customized for you of how I can take you there. And so again, there's no obligations for that. So that's what I recommend they do. Sign up for no 15-minute complimentary consult with me. And also when you're on the website, check out the testimonials page, because then you can see how so many people have benefited. You might even connect with some of them as well. So that's what I recommend.
Is there anything else that you want to share with people that you think is vitally important for them to know?
One thing I have found is sometimes we think like, okay, yeah, I had a lot of challenges in my life, but I'll just kind of tough it out. I'll just get through it. Well, the thing is, this is what I found in doing this for 20 years. If you try to get through it, you still have the suppressed emotions from those 4 phases I discussed from childhood. Those suppressed emotions will project their energy forward and draw situations, events, people into your life that match that unresolved issues. Remember, like my bullying pattern. And then you get those challenging emotional situations with those people, plus what you didn't resolve from your childhood. Now you have all of that together, and that also projects forward and draws more and more of that same pattern over and over again, getting more and more, till finally some huge thing seemingly comes out of nowhere, and you say, Deepak, where did this thing come from? Well, it came from all of that, but it'll keep repeating unless we clear it. And if you're not consciously aware of it, or you say, well, I'll just say some affirmations and hopefully it'll go away, it won't be that straightforward, because that's your conscious mind, not your subconscious mind. So the point I'm making is, we'll tend to repeat the patterns of the past unless we face them and release them. But what I can also share with everyone is, no matter how much of a challenge you had in your life, no matter how much struggles or challenging situations you drew into your life, even if it feels totally hopeless, there is a way out. There is a way out, and there's hope for you yet. So just keep a smile on your face, knowing that there's a way out of this, and you can have the life that you wanted.
I love that. That's such a hopeful message. So All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing. This is such a unique way of working with people. So I am so happy that we ran into each other and I got to talk to you a little bit more about what it is that you're doing.
Thank
All of our viewers, please make sure that you do reach out, at least take advantage of that 15-minute free consult. See how this could be helpful for you. And everybody, make sure that you like, share, follow, and subscribe.